Let's set the stage for this snowstorm. Let's get you that information you need to know so you can plan your Sunday into Monday. And it goes like this. Take a look at the highs today. And you're telling me we're getting a snowstorm tomorrow? Hold on, I'm scratching my head on this one. What was the high in Philadelphia today? 52 degrees? Upper 40s elsewhere? Well, here's what's going on. It's just the meteorology of this storm. We really have almost the perfect storm because some components are coming together. They're going to energize over each other. They're going to share their energy. And then this thing rapidly intensifies into a nor'easter. As that happens, it's going to pull down some super cold air from the north and set the stage for the snow. So that's why we can get snow tomorrow, despite these highs being right around 50 degrees today. And it's still mild when you step outside right now. Take a look at these temperatures across our region. These numbers, not bad. You know what's interesting about these numbers right now at the 6 o'clock hour? These are better than the average high for this time of the year. The average high is in the mid-40s, and we are above that in Philadelphia and KOP. And what a sunset we got this evening. Look at this over Montgomery County. Absolutely beautiful. Echo that for Philadelphia. When you have some clouds starting to come into the sky, especially higher up ones, and that usually comes in ahead of a storm, man, you get a killer sunset. And we got one over Atlantic County as well. So here's what's going on right now. I got the big picture right here for us. So here's some of the clouds slowly kind of moving their way in advance of things. And if you look at the radar, where's the big storm? Well, it goes back that there's two components, and this is really interesting. And this doesn't happen often, but these two components you see right here, they're going to move toward us, and as they get near us, they'll share their energy and evolve into one big, strong storm. The technical term for it is called phasing, and when it happens over us, oh, we get a monster of a storm. And that's exactly what will play out. These two storms will phase over us tomorrow afternoon and in the evening, and that's what leads to such high snowfall totals down the shore. Down the shore, we're looking at 12 to 20 inches of snow. So let's just break this down, what we got on the radar right now. A little bit of snow right there so you can get a feel where some of that colder air is in parts of Indiana and Ohio. You got some of the rain as we look toward Kentucky. This is the coastal component of it. This is what's grabbing the moisture. If you want a lot of snow, you got to have some moisture coming into the storm. So this component right here, as it slowly kind of moves toward us, will bring up the moisture. Then this just helps to kind of get everything going, and it just blossoms from there. So I want to get you up to date on the models. This has been a really difficult storm for us to pinpoint, and I want to explain why. I want to explain why there's been so much uncertainty, and it has a lot to do with Team Europe here. You know, we still got the Olympics going on for at least another day. I believe tomorrow is the closing ceremony. And for much of the week, the European future radar was around 3 or 4 inches of snow for Philadelphia. At the same time, all week long, Team USA, you know how much Team USA wanted? 20 inches for Philadelphia, 24 inches for Philadelphia. Well, here's what's changed. When I walked into the station this morning, Team Europe wanted 2 inches of snow for Philadelphia. So it was consistently staying low. All week long, this has consistently stayed high. Well, things are starting to come more in line. You see the update this afternoon. The European Future Radar has moved its totals now to 10 inches. At the same time, the American Future Radar has pushed its totals down, and these models are starting to come together and have some consensus. So with all that in mind, and there are some models that are just a touch lower, there's other models that are much higher. Some of the HD future radars that really kind of consider terrain, oh, they're much higher than 15 inches. We're talking some of them are looking at 20 to 24 inches of snow in Philadelphia. So we put all that data together. We look at the different trends. We look how this went up. We look how this went down. We'll bring all that together, and I'm going to give the gold medal to Team Europe for finally getting the European radar in order. But the bottom line is, this is how much snow we plan for in Philadelphia. Let's plan for 10 inches of snow in Philadelphia. Now, for much of the greater Philadelphia area, plan for 6 to 12 inches of snow. Yeah, look at this down the shore, 12 to 18 inches. And I'll tell you why. It's right off the coast where the storm rapidly intensifies, where that phasing happens. And when you have that happening, oh, places close to where the center of the storm is, they just get dumped on with snow. So as you get closer to the shore, that's where you have the higher snowfall totals. So that includes Dover, to the south of Dover in Kent County, includes Sussex County in southern Delaware, includes all Cape May County, parts of Atlantic County, the parts of Burlington County when you get into the Pine Barrens and then closer to the shore, and Ocean County as well. And we'll give it to parts that are to the south of Millville and to the south of Vineland in Cumberland County. So let me get into this number, this 6 to 12. So a lot of us will be close to about, say, 8 to 12 inches of snow in this area. So you might be saying, well, wait a minute, why don't you put 8 to 12? Well, there's some uncertainty up here in the Berks County area and the Lehigh Valley. Some of the models want some impressive totals there. They want some snow, 10, 12 inches. Other models actually want it more like 3, 4 inches in this area. So to just cover everybody, we're making the range 6 to 12 because it makes you feel comfortable giving at a minimum 6 inches to these counties right here. And this just feels like a good starting point. Now, here's the deal. Myself, Sue Serio, Kathy Orr, Scott Williams, we all talked today. We all collaborated. I talked with Kathy for an hour on the phone. We had text messages going back and forth with the rest of the weather team. We looked at all the models together. We have about 8 models that we looked at the different totals for, and we collaborated on this. And we said right now, based on the data, let's go with these numbers. These are the same numbers we had this morning, Good Day Philadelphia weekend. If we need to, tomorrow morning, we'll nose them up a little bit. Maybe this becomes 8 to 14 tomorrow morning, and then this becomes 14 to 20 inches. So that's something we're thinking about and looking at doing tomorrow morning. But we want the fresh data in a little bit later. You know how we were talking about those 2 little components on the radar? I'll back it up. I'll show you just real quick. You know, these are like 2 little blips on the radar. I mean, that's a little more impressive, but there's not much here. And so the models don't really have some real-time data of the storm to get a hold on. You know, these just kind of appeared on radar earlier today. So now that they're actually finally on the radar, even though they're not that big, the future radars can kind of fine-tune a little bit. You need that real-time data to get a more accurate forecast. Think about a hurricane. You know those hurricane hunters? There's a reason why they're going out to the hurricane to collect data. So they go out there because, you know, it's not like we have anything measuring the weather data in the middle of the ocean where a hurricane is. You need real data, real weather information to put in the models to get the most accurate forecast. Well, these components were pretty much absent from the radar just about all week long until this morning. Now that they're on radar, the models can kind of fine-tune. That's why we started seeing the consensus with these afternoon runs, and that's why we believe tomorrow morning there'll be a lot more of the models coming in line together and getting a feel of the forecast. But in the meantime, plan for 6 to 12 inches for most of the Philadelphia area as we head closer to the shore. 12 to 18 inches. Now, in some other spots outside of our region, just to kind of give you a scale, we're looking like, say, 3 to 4 inches around the D.C. area and into parts of the Baltimore area. Now, there's a couple different components of this storm besides the amount of snow, and that leads me to why we got a blizzard warning. So we have a blizzard warning for much of New Jersey, just about the whole state it looks like. Surprised they didn't throw Salem County into the mix. The National Weather Service puts this all out. I'm just joking. But the reason we have a blizzard warning is not the snow totals, because if you look here, parts of South Jersey are not in the 12 to 18. It's the wind. It's the wind that gets you the blizzard criteria. So let me break this down a little bit more. The amount of snow you get from a storm has nothing to do with the textbook meteorology term of blizzard. Here's what does. It's the winds. When you have snow falling and the winds get 35 miles an hour or stronger for a couple hours, that brings you whiteout conditions like where you just can't even see in front of your face, you know, kind of something like that. So because the winds will be so strong in Jersey tomorrow afternoon, more so into the night, and they will be over 35 for a couple hours, that's why New Jersey and into Delaware has a blizzard warning. Now, everyone else has a winter storm warning. And the bottom line is you want to take this just as seriously. You're going to have some pretty bad whiteout conditions across Pennsylvania when the snow's coming down heavy. And on top of all that, we got strong winds in Pennsylvania. We have wind gusts between 20 and 30 miles an hour easy. You get into New Jersey, that's when you're getting into 35 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts. Well, wind gusts 20 to 30, man, that's big time whiteout conditions. It's just a little textbook meteorology term, blizzard. You know, I know we all look at that and think, okay, big snow totals, but the truth is, you have really strong winds with some heavy snow falling, and that's why that blizzard term comes up. So to set the stage for that, look at these wind gusts. Look how the winds get stronger as the day goes on. So you get these wind gusts about once, say, every 15 minutes or so. Cut these down by about 10 to 15, and that's the wind that's frequently blowing about every 5 minutes or so. So as the day goes on, the winds get stronger. As the day goes on, the storm revs up, and you better believe we're going to time out the storm hour by hour to help you plan. And here's what we got. These are the wind gusts kind of getting strong, 3 o'clock, 30 mile per hour range. Look at that 41 mile per hour gust in Philadelphia, stronger down the shore in New Jersey. Well, wind gusts 45, 50 miles an hour right at the shore. So what's happening hour by hour? This is what we got for you. A little bit after sunrise, that's when the rain and the snow starts moving in. Yeah, we're starting as rain in parts of New Jersey and Delaware and even Pennsylvania. The morning, not a big deal. If you got plans in the morning, you're okay. It's just after lunchtime, that's when things are really going to turn, and they're going to turn quickly. So let's walk through this hour by hour, county by county. Right after sunrise, the snow and the rain starts moving in. So the rain comes into the Philadelphia area. The snow, plan for that about an hour north of Philadelphia, about an hour west. When you start getting into upper Montgomery County, north of KOP, upper Bucks, Doylestown, and north, the Lehigh Valley, Berks County, that's where you got some more higher elevation. That's where you get some snow. But this snow is wet snow. And you know what that is? That is a snowflake that is just so moist and it's dying to become a raindrop. It almost became a raindrop because think about this. You know, our temperatures tomorrow are not that cold. I'll show you them in a minute. We're actually above freezing at the ground. So the snowflake ran into some warmer air close to the ground. There just wasn't enough warm air to melt it into a raindrop, but it's close. Well, it's going to hit the pavement. The pavement was in the upper 40s, 50 degrees today. So when the snowflakes first come in the morning up in this region, they're going to hit the ground. They're going to melt right away. You know, eventually we'll get a little bit of a grassy coating right there.